I just want to make more money and because I just want to be able to have freedom. Okay, well, what does that look like? How much money do you actually need? Sometimes I feel overwhelmed, and that overwhelmed feeling, I apply to everything if I'm not fully aware. Sometimes we look at companies and we're like, oh my gosh, how is this company attracting so many amazing people? Hey, it's Dr. Sherry with the Coaching Mastery Community. So I'm a psychologist and a certified high performance coach, and I've been working with people for over 2 decades. One of the things that I have coached and worked with people on so many times is goal setting. And I learned this way back when I was doing work as a psychologist and in clinical practice. And I want to unpack it for you today in case you haven't heard it yet. But then I want to kind of give you a surprise ending. When working with people who are working on goals and wanting to achieve a lot, there is a framework called SMART goals that can be valuable. You've probably heard about it, and if you have, you've learned about it before. Let this serve as a reminder of some of the important principles around it. The reason it's called SMART is because SMART is an acronym. So let me remind you or share with you for the first time what the acronym stands for. So SMART, S refers to specific goals. When we're goal setting, we want to be as specific as possible. The reason this is important is because if we have some diffuse, unspecified goal, how are we ever going to know that we have achieved it? How are we ever going to be able to measure how far along the path we are on achieving the goal if we're not specific? So somebody might say, I just want to make more money. I just want to have a better relationship. I just want to be more happy. I just want to be less anxious. Like, I could go on and on. These are all things that I hear clients say, but it's not super helpful. Like, it's a great starting place, but they need to get, or it's helpful if we can get them to be more specific. And that's our role as a coach, is to help people get more clarity. So somebody says, oh, I just want to make more money because I feel like if I made more money, it would solve some of my problems. Great. As a coach, I might ask, what does that look like? What is enough money? How much money do you need in a month? Or how much are your bills? Or what types of vacations would you like to go on that you want more money for? And when you start to ask these questions, the client will get a better understanding. Oh, okay. So I work with a lot of real estate investors, and one of the concepts that is huge in real estate investing is the freedom number. And that simply means how much cash flow do I need in a month, especially passive, to be able to live off of it. That's the freedom number. And so if somebody's like, I just want to make more money and because I just want to be able to have freedom. Okay, well, what does that look like? How much money do you actually need? Get specific. Help your client get specific. And when they get specific, then they're able to have much more clarity on their progress. So that's the S of SMART goals. The M is measurable goals. So specific goals and then measurable. So like the financial thing, that's easy to do because it's a number. It's already a number. But when we're working with things that are not a number, can we create a number in it? That's a kind of a question. So here's an example. When I was doing clinical practice again as a psychologist, I worked with a lot of anxiety disorders. And so a lot of people with generalized anxiety or panic attacks in particular, let's stick with panic attacks, they have a certain number of panic attacks in a week that they're used to having. And one of the goals is, okay, well, if you're used to having 3 in a week, how about let's track and see if we can get you down to 2? And then let's see if we can get you down to 1. And then let's see if we can just get you to maybe having only 1 a month. And then let's see if we can get you to go 3 months without any. That is a way of being able to get specific and measurable, and we're tracking. So again, they can celebrate the progress because it is a measurable amount of progress. It's not just that I feel better, but there is something concrete. And I'll tell you, this is gold as a coach, because there are going to be times where your clients feel amazing about your coaching. And there are going to be times where they feel frustrated and discouraged, and it might not be related to their progress at all, but they might take that discouragement and frustration and associate it with the coaching. And they're going to have a week or two where they feel like, maybe the coaching isn't really working. This is normal. This is absolutely normal. Think about your own life. There are times when you feel discouraged, frustrated. Ladies, there's a time during the cycle where sometimes we get more emotional. It just is what it is. And for me, when I feel that, sometimes I feel overwhelmed, and that overwhelmed feeling, I apply to everything if I'm not fully aware. So it's not that something really feels or is overwhelming, but I just feel that way, and therefore that feels that way for a few days or a week. See, this is a normal part of human living. So if you can help your client recognize the specific and measurable goals, they're far more likely to re-engage with you when their time is up for coaching, when they need to re-up. And they're also more likely to be able to refer other friends, family, clients to you. So having smart and measurable goals really is smart for your own business as well as for their progress. So the third, SMA, A stands for achievable goals. Achievable goals, the ideas around this is that they are achievable and realistic. If somebody has the goal of, hey, I want to fly to the moon, and they have asthma and they're overweight and they have a heart condition and all, they're never going to get to the moon because they are not healthy enough to ever withstand the amount of rigor and, physical pressure that it takes to take a rocket to the moon. Like, I'm using it as an extreme example, but the idea is that if it's not realistic, then they're going to get super frustrated and they're going to get disappointed. It's like they are setting themselves up for disappointment. So the idea is that the A stands for achievable. It needs to be something that's achievable and realistic. Fourth is R, and 4 is relevant goals. So if they're coming to you as a coach and they're saying that I have this problem, let's say that their problem they're wanting to solve is a relationship problem. Their marriage. Let's say their marriage isn't super solid. They're bickering. There's arguments between the two spouses, and they want their marriage to improve. Okay, well, what specific goals do they have around the improvement of the marriage? How can they measure this? Maybe it's fewer number of arguments. There's a lot of different ways to measure. And then we talked about achievability. Is this achievable? Yes, it is. I'd say any marital improvement is achievable. And then fourth is relevant. So what might the relevant goals around that be? It could be, so like let's say that one of the challenges they argue a lot about is finances. I literally just did a podcast for the Coach's Journey podcast. So if you're interested in hearing a little bit more about finances, go jump over and check that out on our podcast. If one of the major conflicts is around finances, maybe one of the goals will be to increase cash flow, to increase income and cash flow. Maybe that is related, that if they improve that, the marriage will improve. But maybe for some people it's not. Like, that wouldn't be a relevant goal. Wouldn't it be a related goal? So it really matters to the person on what is relevant and related. But also not just focusing on increasing income, but how about focusing on increasing collaboration, a sense of collaboration, or a sense of joint goals for the marriage, in the marriage, for their life, for the life of the family. Like, these are all relevant goals that are related to the thing that they want to solve for. And the more that you can bring clarity to them about all of the relevant goals that can be talked about and made progress on as related to the single reason, that, like, the biggest reason why that they're in coaching, why they even reached out to you, why they're willing to do this, you're going to be able to really solidify some significant gains and help them realize, remember, and understand their growth path themselves. And then the last one of SMART, T, is time-bound goals. And so it's not just that I want to make more money, because is that over 50 years or is that over 5 days? Or is it maybe 5 months? Having time-bound goals is really important because it helps increase the clarity of, are you actually getting there? And it also brings clarity around the realistic progress. Like if somebody wants to make $1 million and they're like, I got 5 days, I want to make $1 million, you're probably going to get disappointed. I know very few people that can make $1 million in 5 days. Very few people. Now, if you wanted to make $1 million in 5 months, that's a little bit more achievable depending on their skill sets and experience. If they want to make $1 million in 5 years, oh my gosh, that's totally doable. In my opinion, my experience, totally doable. So the question is, what is the time frame in which these goals are going to be met, right? That is SMART goals. If you follow this framework with your clients, you are going to see some really beneficial results in their goal setting. Here is my surprise. Using the framework of SMART goals can actually be demotivating. And this is why. If particularly related to the A of SMART, sometimes the goals that people set, the achievable goals, are actually too achievable. One of the things that we know about human behavior is that challenge is activating. And I don't mean like somebody coming up to you and being like, hey, I challenge you to whatever, like to a fight. But I'm talking about doing something that is super meaningful for you and that requires some energy and effort. Because when we're challenged, when we allow ourselves to be challenged in a direction that aligns with our values, that is activating, that is energizing. And so sometimes what I've seen coaches do, and I think I've done this too accidentally with some of my clients, is basically downplay their dreams and their goals. And inadvertently, we tell them like, your dreams and goals are probably too big. You probably shouldn't dream that big. I've seen this happen. And it hurts. It hurts my soul. And I know I've done this and it hurts my soul. So as you're thinking about SMART goals, the more that you can stoke the enthusiasm, the excitement, the values that the client has for their big dreams, their big goals, that will help them have that base motivation to keep on moving. So think about it. People don't they don't sign up for companies that have mediocre and uninspiring missions. Sometimes we look at companies and we're like, oh my gosh, how is this company attracting so many amazing people? They're attracting amazing people who are volunteers. They're not even being paid, but they're putting all this time and energy into this company. The reason is because this company has understood that if they have a vision that's big enough, that's bold enough, they will attract people to help with that vision. And so when you think about SMART goals in your clients, stoke their ambition in their huge, bold, audacious goals. Don't downplay, don't kind of poo-poo their dreams and goals, because that could be like the gas that you're just letting out of the engine that would actually get them there. So I want both of these things to stay in your mind, SMART goals, and how do I also stoke their greatest ambitions and help them lean into the things that might even seem impossible. So I hope this was valuable, and this is a framework and some thoughts that you can keep in the back of your mind for when you meet with your clients next and see what happens. Would love to hear your feedback. Have an amazing day.